This student contacted me and was having issues pushing and pulling the garage down. So just to make it so that the garage was down lower than the slab of the rest of the house and the porch. So I'm going to take a look at this and we'll troubleshoot this one and see how we can fix that. First thing I do is I just take a look at the model using my select tool. So I just select and click on different things to kind of see what's going on. So immediately when I select the garage, I notice that the garage is a grouped shape, and it looks to me like it's a 2D shape. And then when I click on the rest of the slab, I see that the slab is ungrouped for the floor. So if I click around for the rest of the model, I can see that we've got some things that are grouped the way they really should be, which is basically every single thing should be its own group, and then a few things that are either ungrouped or grouped in a big in a multi-grouping. So this is a great example of what can happen when grouping doesn't happen in a very routine way, which is just make something, group it, open it up, edit it, and then close the group. Because what we get is we get these big shapes that are either not connected or connected to too many things. I'm going to triple click on this floor slab to see what's actually part of the group, and I'm going to make it a group by hitting G or right clicking on it and making it a group. Now I want to see what is a part of this group. So I'm going to isolate this by locking it. So if I right click on it and go down to lock, I've now isolated it, or I basically have locked it so that I can isolate it, because the next step is going to be to select all. So I'm going to go to Edit, Select All, or I've set up a shortcut for this, which is Apple A or Control A. But for this purpose, I'm just going to go to my Edit, Select All. I've selected everything in the model now. Now I'm going to do an Edit, Hide, so that all I'm looking at is what it is that I want to isolate. So I'm able to hide everything else except for the item that's locked. Now I can right click and unlock it so that I can work on it. So it looks like I've got a slab with, it's kind of hard to tell on this from this, but this is the underside here. If I kind of orbit around a little bit down, this shape down below, or this face that's showing the material on it in reverse, is actually the underside of this push-pulled area. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that because I don't need it. I'm also just for the purposes of this going to delete, just so it's not as confusing, I'm going to delete the bottom face as well. This is going to require a little tiny bit of repair work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the stray pieces that I don't need. I don't need this line, so I can select that and delete it. I don't need any of these vertical elements, so I can select by dragging from right to left. So I'm just selecting the things that I get within that selection. Delete those. Let's see what else I've got. If I've got any more just random pieces sticking up, I'm going to select them and I'm going to delete them. And that's fine. So now I'm just going to look over here and see if it looks like there's a missing face here, right in here. The way to repair that easiest is to select my line tool and just go ahead and repair it by drawing that line back in place. Whenever there's a face that wants to be repaired, it's pretty easy to do. If it's an accurate and clean opening, you can always repair it just by drawing one of the lines back in place. Okay, and the materials are already put in place here. I don't want to mess with any of that because that's all looking really good. So I'm going to leave that as it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and close this by clicking outside of the group, and I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to unhide all and bring everything back. So at this point, I now want to see what's going on with this garage. So I'm going to do the exact same thing here. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to lock it. I'm going to go to Edit, Select All, and then Edit, Hide. This is a really easy way to just get just what it is that you want to see into view. Now I'm going to right click on it and unlock it. Let's open this up by double clicking on it and see what's going on. It looks like this just so happens to be a really straightforward, basic 2D shape connected by these lines along the outside that has the material applied where it should be, right on the face. So my hunch is that this is a separate face that wants to belong to that larger slab that we have. So let me go ahead and edit, unhide all, and bring it all back into view. I will select this face and select this shape by hitting Shift to add so that I have another selection. I'm going to lock those two things. You can see why it eventually is nice to assign shortcuts to this, because it makes it a lot faster than to have to go to Edit, Select All, and then Edit, Hide. It's nice to create some shortcuts for some of this stuff so you don't have to play around with that as much. Now I'm going to right click and I'm going to unlock. So this group here is a 2D face that wants to be connected to this separate group, because if I move this for any reason, you can see that it moves out of place. And I've got this nice negative pocket here just waiting to be connected to this. So let me go ahead and undo that move. Simply select both of these things, and I'm going to explode them. Exploding is essentially just ungrouping something. So now I've ungrouped both of these items, and this has now connected to this. My apologies for that car alarm in the background. So now I'm going to select this whole thing, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to make it a group. Okay, now when I open this up and triple click on it, the whole thing is connected. Just want to get nice and close here though to make sure. It's really hard to tell, but sometimes these lines don't necessarily connect up. So it looks like we've got a little bit of extraneous line. And what I want to do for this is I'm going to go back to my shaded texture so I can really see what's going on. So if I've got some of these lines that are going to mess me up as I push-pull things, I'm going to go ahead and delete those. So I'm going to come up here and see what's going on. Notice I need to get really close just to see what's happening. And I always verify what I'm doing by selecting these planes to make sure that when I delete that line, I'm not losing any geometry. So this looks relatively clean. It looks like I'm going to be able to make this push-pull pretty easily. Let's see what's going on if I get nice and close in here. Okay, nothing. So it's kind of it's almost surgical to get this close to this geometry and make sure it's all working out. But you can kind of see from far away if stuff's not working out. You can see that you've got these extra lines that you don't need. And there's no harm in deleting those, because those lines are just going to get in your way when you try to push-pull in the future. Now I don't need to go and take the time to delete these all the way around, but if I really wanted to be nice and precise, I could. In this case, we're really just worried about this shape here. And what we want is we want this face and this face to be on the same plane. We want to be able to push this garage down. So I'm going to activate my push-pull tool. Go ahead and select the face I want to push-pull down. And then push-pull it down. Now as you can see, what happens is I lost that. So let's go ahead and see what's going on the underside. It looks like there's this whole bit of geometry on the underside that we don't need. So I'm going to delete that as well. See this purple underside is not connected to anything that's happening up here. So this is actually something we don't want. So I'll delete that. There's some other stuff going on back here too that we could probably spend some time cleaning up, but for the sake of this video and for the sake of time, we'll worry about that later. Now I'm just going to take my push-pull. I'm going to push-pull this down, click, and it's exactly where it wants to be. I'll go ahead and turn my textures back on so you can see that that garage information is still there. And now I can click to close, and I can edit, unhide all to bring it all back to where it belongs. So that's how I would fix that. I might go through this model and do a little bit of cleanup. Like here's an example of something I might want to just take a look at by locking, edit, select all, edit, hide, and seeing what's going on there. Unlocking it, and it looks like I've got some information over here that's attached to it, some stray lines that once probably belonged to something else. I don't want those attached to this wall because that's just going to create confusion and problems. So I'll go ahead and delete that. So a really, really good way to clean up your model if you're having a lot of trouble is to isolate and clean up each individual piece one at a time. You can really understand what you're looking at by getting rid of everything else. It's also a lot faster than selecting something and then manually hiding one by one all the things around it. Okay, so all of that said, if someone turns a model that looks like this for this course, for this assignment, this is a full credit assignment at this point. So I wouldn't worry too much. If you have little errors and little mistakes and little things like that in your model, I'm not anticipating perfect models from everybody because I know that a lot of what we're doing is really kind of complicated. I'm just more interested in making sure that you can attempt and satisfy some of the basic things like these stairs and applying materials. This is an introduction. So as you get better and better at this stuff, you'll have clean, perfect models that are easy to work with. But I don't want anyone to stress too much about making sure that everything is clean, or worrying that I'm going through it with a fine-tooth comb, because I'm not. I'm really just looking for the basic requirements. So at this point, I would say this person is pretty good to go for turning in their assignment 3. Hope this one helps. I'll be doing some more troubleshooting videos for these assignments as we go. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for watching.